Hey, Isabel, how
Hi,
are you?
Rachel. I'm good, thank you.
So, one thing that I really liked about this story as a whole, both the novel and then the movie, is while all of these things are kind of happening to Asa and she's all in her head and stuff, one thing that doesn't define her and she kind of pushes back when someone tries to say, like, make it a defining quality about her is that she lost her dad. Because I think it is something that people try and push onto others, especially if you are a member of the Dead Dad Club. And when you are approaching a character like that, is that something that you keep in the back of your mind, or is it something that you only like use when applicable in those moments when someone's kind of pushing it on her and she doesn't want it?
I really enjoy that question. Thank you. I feel as though there's a sort of presence of her dad associated with her car, Harold, because it was his car. And whenever I'm in Harold, I think there's a sort of ease and comfortability, and I try to portray that. I think me in general, I always feel really comfortable in my car, and that's like kind of my safe space, so I can play the songs I want, and I relate to her in that sense. But I also think with any sort of prominent loss that someone's had, it never really leaves them in a way, but they carry on. And um, I think when she hears about it, it can be a bit of an eye roll because she's always sitting with that sort of loss.
Mhm.
And so it's like, oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'd rather not talk about it ever. And that would be nice. And I really appreciate that it's part of her story, but it isn't her story, you know?
Yeah, and I also like that there are so many kind of moving parts to this to Turtles All the Way Down, just like as a whole. But what I really love is that like it is also still about a high school friendship that is one's mad that the other one's not paying attention to them. And it's like there is a man who is missing that no one quite knows where he is. There's anxiety disorders and all these things, but it still boils down to two friends who are just like not being honest with each other. For you as an actor, is that always important to kind of find in characters when you do have all these other circumstances around you to find those moments where it is just about these two characters?
Absolutely. I think that's something that I also practice in real life, like making sure that I bring time and care to the relationships that I've cultivated and like grow and water them. And I actually learned that through this movie. Aza's tendency to be stuck in her own thoughts can sometimes be described as being selfish. When you're always thinking about me, I am the same way, in that sense. And it can sometimes distract you, like that moment or those moments where you're in a conversation with someone and your anxiety takes over and you zone out and you're no longer paying attention, but you only caught the last word that the person said to you. I only recently found out that they notice. They know that you've zoned out and you're not listening. And so it can create a little bit of an awkward thing where it's not intentional, but it happens and you have to take responsibility in a way for that. And I learned that through this movie is like taking responsibility for your shortcomings when it comes to friendships. And I don't know if that answered your question. I'm so sorry. I think I got
No, it
lost.
did. No, it totally did. But for last fun question, I love that her friend writes fan fiction. I think it is so much fun that her whole thing is that she is a prominent fan fiction writer. If you had to write your own fan fiction about anything, what would be the property that you're like, this is what I'm writing it about?
Absolutely. Bend it like Beckham. The two friends in that, the two girls that like the main character ends up having a crush on the coach, but I really always wanted them to end up together. It was sort of my awakening when I was younger and seeing that movie. I always thought they should end up together because Keira Knightley's character is a queer character in a way. She's very open about it. It's part of her storyline. So I'm like, I wish they got together. I would write a fan fiction about that.
Just a prominent fan fiction page of Bennett like Beckham in
Yes,
2024.
that spilled out of my mouth. I was ready for that one.
You were like, someone better ask me about my fan fiction dream.
Yeah,
But thank you so much for talking with me. I loved seeing you as a little superhero in Madam Web. It made me so happy.
thank you.
But and it's so great to see you in this too and see the contrast in your career. It's great. But thank you so much for talking with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate your compliments and your words and great questions.
Thank you. Have a great one.